Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
It is Single Best Idea in a special edition of Single Best Idea. I'll be honest, folks, we're making it up as we go. Lengthy meetings. I mean, the meetings, they go forever. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 7 minutes. What are we going to do on Single Best Idea? We are making it up as we go. And today we have a special edition where we focus on one treasured guest, and he really delivered. He is Raghuram Rajan of the Booth School of Chicago. His book, Fault Lines, is one of the few books of the great financial crisis that has endured. He is one of our great thinkers on community, and he has a new book coming out on his India. He's a former head of the Central Bank of India. A new book coming out, Breaking the Mold, which is a primal scream towards a new India. And just and I'm speaking as a complete amateur, thank you to Lord Desai at the London School of Economics for schooling me. But basically there's North India, which is Modi, emotional, conservative, political, religious. And yes, all the same in South India over to Sri Lanka, Ceylon, except that's where the technocratic elites are. And think of Satya Nadella coming out of Microsoft on there. So we had a wonderful conversation, which we devote entirely to today, with Raghuram Rajan of the Booth School of Chicago. Here is the professor on the election, the stunning results so far, tempering a Modi certitude.
I think it's a splendid result because it tells the government it needs to change course. The old course was unviable. But I think what is happening today is really, in the long run, really good for India because it forces India to choose a different course from the one it has been on, a course which has led to much wider unemployment and distress than needed in the country. It's actually a win for democracy, and that's good for India because what democracy does is it allows the different paths to essentially express themselves and to negotiate. The problem earlier was India was trending towards a more autocratic country, a country with one leader who had a larger-than-life image. And that, unfortunately, meant that the BJP leadership wasn't listening to the economic news on the ground that people were actually suffering hardship, wasn't listening to the broader sense that, the weaponization of various instruments of the government to put, opposition party leaders in jail was simply not gelling. And it would have taken India down a course which was ruinous in the longer run, maybe in the short run beneficial to the big business groups. And that's why the market is reacting adversely. But I think this is good.
One of the great themes here has been, and this is from Professor Rajan and others as well, on India, and I thank Derek Wallbank for his commitment out of Singapore, driving all of our South Asia coverage at Bloomberg News, is the similarity, the analog exercise of China as compared and like India, and all really push against this. And so much of this is because of how demographically they're so different, whether it's the latitude above the equator, whether it's climate change, whether it's the politics, as Damien Sassauer is talking about today, on the northern border. But so much of this is polyglot India. Here, Raghuram Rajan on an India of 20 languages.
It's more than that. It's 20 official languages, which means they have enough people speaking it. But there are 600 additional dialects and languages. It's a vast, complicated country. And the only way it's unified is through democracy, because democracy allows each community a voice. You talked about 2026 in India. That's when the parliamentary seats get reapportioned, when there will be a move to have new seats in parliament for the more populous areas. That has to be done by consensus. And what I'm so glad about is that it will be done by consensus because democracy has reestablished itself in India, and they will have to negotiate how that reapportionment helps. So India is more politically stable as a result of this election, is also going to be a greater friend to the democracies of the world.
And you wonder how the U.S. should step out after our election to rebuild and to enhance our relationship with India. Sometimes we have to ask a delicate question, and sometimes we get a delicate answer. Raghuram Rajan on public service to the next Modi government.
Well, I think that's an unlikely prospect. My sort of inclination is whenever there's a government I can agree with, I'm happy to work with them. I've always been open with advice. Let's see what happens.
That was a short answer, to say the least. But Raghu, thank you so much. Raghuram Rajan there, and I just can say in front, full disclosure, I've seen a PDF of the book coming out, Princeton University Press. Raghuram Rajan's next effort is completely devoted to what his India needs to do to prosper forward and decidedly on their own unique path, not like China. We are out on Apple CarPlay, on Android as well, on YouTube. I just can't say enough about the Informed Live Chat on YouTube. Subscribe to Bloomberg Podcast. Search Bloomberg Podcast there. From New York with this special edition on Apple Podcasts, Single Best Idea.